Indoor and outdoor spaces are critical, and if you don't understand how to create a good indoor-outdoor connection, your project can simply lack what it's truly trying to achieve. What's going on, guys? My name's David Tomic and welcome back to the channel. If you're looking for anything architecture related, then you've come to the right place. Today we're going to be looking at a design that connects the indoors to the outdoors seamlessly. It is going to be a full ArchiCAD 25 model, as well as a twin motion export at the end of the day to be able to produce high-end renders. As you can see to the left-hand side of me, this process has already started, and I'm going to walk you through it step by step. We're going to break down all the architectural characteristics of this and what you can take from it if you're using this in your own personal project or simply just looking for inspiration. Okay, so let me talk you what has already happened in this design. Basically, what we've done is we've been able to try and create some sort of indoor-outdoor connection by also dividing our public and private spaces. So to be able to achieve this, what we've really done is defined where the public spaces are and where the private spaces are. Our public spaces, in my opinion, is anything where anybody will traverse through your home or somebody will be able to see you from the street. Whereas a private space is something that is a little bit more intimate. Something like a bedroom or a bathroom is very private, and you want to keep that private away from everybody else. Then to be able to connect this back to our nature, we're constantly looking at ways of basically immersing this design as best as we can. So continuing on with our public-private connection in this stage of the design, what we're looking at doing is creating definitive spaces inside the ground floor. The ground floor will comprise of your formal entry or your foyer, then separated with your eating or dining areas, so your dining room and your kitchen. We then move on to a sunken lounge, which then again clearly defines one space from another without having to have a major change in the architecture. This way you can clearly differentiate the psychology of your dining spaces and the psychology of your living spaces, where you can actually enjoy something a little bit more or where you have to have a formal meal. The best thing about these spaces being sunken, moved, shifted and separated from each other is that we are able to then clear division around our backyard. If in this instance it was a rectangular block and we only had 4 sides to work with, we have the maximum ability to be able to provide views from almost all sides. Nobody really wants to be looking back towards the street unless you're looking for some sort of passive surveillance. However, we do really want to be enjoying what we're experiencing inside of our own design. Most people don't have the luxury and liberty of living on hectares and hectares worth of land. Instead, they have a small piece of paradise that they all use every single day and want to enjoy every single day. When we move upstairs, we really want to move up into those private spaces a little bit more whilst still connecting back to our piece of paradise that we've created in our backyard. By limiting the actual size of the house, we have that ability to increase the size of our paradise per se. Upstairs, we're really focusing on our private spaces, our intimate moments. So our bedrooms, our bathrooms, our small activity room that might be used for kids or anybody in the meantime that's basically just passing through those spaces without making it too formal. In this case, we're using it as a pool table area, which can be changed into anything that you'd prefer, but basically what we're trying to achieve is 2 master bedroom spaces that are continuously looking outside to our indoor-outdoor connection, whilst we also have 2 additional bedrooms. It can be 1, it can be 3. The concept is the same nonetheless, that are basically filtering light. So in this instance, we are connecting back to the indoor-outdoor spaces, not in a visual connection per se through to that greenery, through to that water, but instead we are connecting to the light and to the nature. So as the sun passes over this entire project, you can see the light filter and trickle through the blades into the bedrooms themselves, really creating a soft, delicate space. And this can be used as well when people are potentially overlooking your site or you're directly looking at somebody else's neighboring property. This is a great way really to separate without separating from the outdoors itself. Now, we always want to also be able to create some sort of actual outdoor spaces. So balconies are an incredibly easy, incredibly effective way to do this. Even if they are a tiny little Juliet balcony off your master bedroom, it is enough to be able to stand outside, get some fresh air and truly appreciate what you've spent a long time designing, long time creating, and most likely even longer building. When we do get to our backyard and our little piece of paradise, as I like to call it, we really want to focus on what's important to us. So if that means you truly want a 10-meter pool or a 20-meter pool, you want to find out a way of how you can introduce that into the design. There's nothing worse than having to come back and go, that wasn't actually what I wanted. I wanted a lot more from that design, especially if you had the ability to do something about it. So in this instance, I always try to keep the water as close to the property as possible, because once the water is close to the property, it also allows that sunlight to basically reflect off the water and shine onto the actual property itself, reflecting onto the ceilings of the indoor spaces that you get to enjoy every single day when you're at home. Now, when we're actually looking at this at a rendering point of view, we're looking at it from a comfort point of view. We're looking at it from an actual experiential point of view. So we're looking at how the light travels over the pathway, how it looks from the street, what people will be seeing, and what you'll be experiencing as you come home to your beautiful luxury bespoke home. Now, in this instance, we again are trying to connect that indoor-outdoor feeling. So as soon as you're coming back to your house, you really want to be connecting back to nature as much as possible. So to be able to do this, what we've done in this design is basically broken up the landscaping areas as much as we can, so you're immersed as much as possible. Now, there might be a house to the left and right of you, but you can still filter that house away through planter boxes or even garden beds. And in this instance, we've introduced that main garden bed into the center of this design, which could then also be elevated further with some garden and some greenery, potentially some grass around the side. But what you want to experience is when you're coming home, you're experiencing that native emotion. You're experiencing coming back into nature, coming back into your paradise. The actual landscaping that we've selected in this is very, very native to the program itself. It is all very tropical, so we don't have too much control over the landscaping unless we really want to see this computer crash and absolutely have no final result at the end of the day. But what we've gone for is a tropical paradise here. Basically just some really nice deep greens that are constantly green throughout the year. They're evergreen plants, they're not deciduous because they don't need to be at such a low height. We're also focusing on the ability to be able to walk from your car into your garage, into your house, through your front door, around the backyard, whichever way you go, to be always connected back to that nature. Now, I'm a qualified architect, I'm not a qualified landscape architect, so I have no idea about trees and plants and selections, but I do know what does look good, and when we do work with landscape architects, they're there to be able to actually identify and further bring this project to reality and to the actual vision that we're all sharing, to be able to actually come home to something that is enjoyable. Now, not everybody will have a Porsche out the front of their house, but it is the only high-end quality car that I have, so that's what we're going with at the moment. And nonetheless, it is still being connected back to nature as much as possible. Even though that is a man-made human element, it is something that we want to be taking into consideration because we don't want to forget about that at all. In the rear of the property, the same concept applies. We're really connecting that water back to that greenery, back to the grass as much as we possibly can, so that no matter where you stand in the house, no matter where you're looking, you're always connecting back to the greenery, you're always connecting back to the grass and the water, even if it's through little glimpses of windows or little pockets of light. We always want to be trying our best to be able to connect back to that greenery, back to the outdoors as much as we possibly can, even if that is just a small piece of fresh air from a balcony or the giant leaves of a palm tree or a pine tree simply cantilevering and falling over the spaces that you're inhabiting at the moment. Anyway, that's all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something new. If you did, make sure you smash that like button down below and don't forget about the subscribe button. But like I said, that is all from me. So I will see you next Monday.